here we go. I think, so I'm going for a 700-pound squat. I think if I can add 2 pounds to my press, from this point each week for the next I don't know, when's the end? 2 months from now, it'll be like the end of March. Then I'm doing math real time. Like 295. If I could get to 4 sets of 4 with 295 strict, that'd be pretty good. It'd be like 300 pounds would be even better. That'd be kind of pushing it. I'm able to get the bar lower when I do strict press. And the thing is that I still do a little bit. I do a little bit of a layback. But to me that's still strict. As long as you're not using your knees or your hips in the lift, then you're still doing a strict press. Back in the old days, I don't know. I think when it went from like the overhead press being the most popular upper body move to bench press. I think it started in maybe it was in the 70s when they made that transition. I think it's when the Americans started sucking at Olympic weightlifting, and then bench press took over, and that's just been everyone's main focus ever since. I watched this short documentary that I don't know who CBC or somebody did on Doug Hepburn from back in 1953, and it seems crazy someone was that strong back in 1953, and he has like a little gimp leg too, and he did like a 380-pound clean and jerk at that point. I don't know if that was his personal best though. I'm trying to find a comment, but it's from a few days ago, so I've been scrolling for a little while, but I found some good ones on the way. What does this guy say? This guy says, because my brother-in-law told me that gasoline is 33,000 calories per gallon, and he says these hard gainers, this was somebody commented, these hard gainers need to hit up Circle K and chug some Supreme straight from the pump. Anyways, this guy's comment, I wanted to read, this guy, he gave me a review for my album, and then I'm gonna review this German guy's review of my first album. Okay, where the hell is it? This guy says quoting Columbine lines is wild. I wasn't aware I was quoting Columbine. I don't know the lines from those guys, but yeah, enclomiphene is where it's at. It just gives you an edge. The problem with enclomiphene is that, as far as I know, let's just check it out. Enclomiphene. Yeah. So it's a SERM. So I'm pretty sure all SERMs, they degenerate the ocular nerves, or they cause ocular degeneration, and so you don't want to take that long term. Another guy suggested cabergoline. I think he said cabergoline. I don't think he said pramipexole, but apparently cabergoline can increase your natural testosterone. But cabergoline is it messes with the it messes with the heart. I can't remember it causes like valve degeneration in the heart. Okay, I'm close to it now. 5 minutes in, and Buck has said Jew, retard, and gay. I got recommended a video just now. This YouTube censorship is really lifting. I wonder if there's a sort of ulterior motive to that. Somebody said that, like, apparently, there's the thing that says that all the humans originated in Africa and that we're all related. But then there's other things that, obviously biblical things that say, like, you've got the Tower of Babel. Everyone started in that sort of area, but then God spread them out and gave them different languages. And then you have other things like what that guy was talking about is how, like, whites are more like Neanderthals, Cro-Magnons, blacks are Homo sapien, and then maybe there's some people that are hybrids. What do we got here? Okay, it's a pretty long comment. Simo Delis. Apparently they banned my YouTube short in the guy's high school class. Too much. The guy says it had too much testosterone. That's a real comment. I'm not. Okay, what the heck? My forearms are looking jacked. There we go. That's you know what? Another thing. Let's say you're at break at work at your factory job, whatever, you work in a warehouse, you're a carpenter, you work at 7-Eleven, assuming you're not working alone. Anyways, see, you know what, let's say maybe you're a forklift driver, okay, lifting weights is still going to pay off in the break room when one day everyone gets into arm wrestling, okay, and then these noobs they've been watching people, they've been watching Devin Lair, they're getting into it. It's the new cool thing, it's their new thing that they're into for 2 weeks, and then they realize that it takes a lot more than 2 weeks to get strong. And it's kind of like these people that pick up an instrument, and all it does is they play for 2 hours total, and then it just sits in the corner until they sell it one day, or put it in a storage unit. And so when that little phase when everyone's into arm wrestling, okay, the phase might be really short lived if there's a weightlifter in the room, because you're just going to be flash pinning everyone you work with. Because someone who lifts weights and's gotten pretty strong, like 600 deadlift, 500 squat, whatever, you're like a different organism. And even if, let's say you just do deadlifts and squats and you're going against untrained people, your upper body's still way stronger than theirs, because it changes you. It makes your upper body stronger just by doing squats and deadlifts. This guy says, FYI, your album is sick. This is my amateur Rolling Stone review. It's pretty long. I'll just read the last couple paragraphs. Lyrically, the album serves as a sharp critique of the hollow and superficial aspects of Western culture, delivered with relentless guitar shredding and explosive snare and cymbal work. Brought to you by Easy Drummer 2. And I really love the snare in that. I like the 80s snare. The one that's like, psh, okay? It has some gated reverb on it. Not too much. I don't want it to be like, what they call the stadium drums, because it'll adjust depending on the tempo. It'll bring it in if it's a faster song. It'll spread it out if it's a slower song. And the only thing missing, perhaps a bagpipe shredding in the background or a subtle flute solo for contrast. I assume that was a joke. All things considered, 21st Century is a bold, unapologetic masterpiece that demands attention and earns its place as a modern classic. Now, let's go to my first album, Death Wheels a Six String. Okay, it's a picture of me on the side of the road. I've got my duster on that my brother bought me. I've got my black cowboy hat. And it's high contrast, black and white. Okay, so the title of the guy's review is Completely Unnecessary. Okay, he says my real name. He says, Buck Tow Truck actually managed to shut me up. I'm just going to say Buck Tow Truck, though. Buck Tow Truck actually managed to shut me up, but unfortunately not in a good way, because what the Canadian musician produces on the new album of his solo project, Buck Tow Truck, Death Wheels a Six String, he means, is probably the most... because what the Canadian musician produces on the new album of his solo project, Death Wheels a Six String, is probably the most superfluous thing you can hear in terms of rock/metal at the moment. Buck Tow Truck is undoubtedly a talented guitarist, but at the same time he is a terrible songwriter and an even worse singer. In the very first song, he makes the mistake of crossing a few Manowar riffs with almost sacred vocals and ending the whole thing with Van Halen leads, without any connection at all being able to emerge between the individual fragments. But the North American only commits the much more serious crimes later, when, for example, he drags out a completely boring, almost instrumental-like The Nihilist and the Moralist for 15 endless minutes, or tries completely helplessly to rehash a few common cliches in The Heavy Metal Warrior. With all due respect, who needs such nonsense? Buck Tow Truck was Death Wheels a Six String was released on Boxing Day, but fortunately wasn't sent out until later, because this nonsense could have ruined the holidays for some people. And that was... The editor was Bjorn Bacchus. I don't know who wrote it. That's who edited it, though. Anyways, that definitely sounds like something a German person would say. And the guy's right. Okay, that album sucks so fucking bad. But, anyways, the main point is I've come a long way. If you listen to it, you're like, you're going to be nice. You're going to be nice, but you don't have to. That album's fucking trash. My second album, which isn't even up, I showed some of the bits on the Patreon. That album sucks too. My third album, The Good Guys Never Win, there's some good bits on there. Okay, that's when I'm starting to get it. Okay, but now I've come a long way. So Yeah. That wasn't the original interview. I had another one where this German woman, another German, of course. Germans are kind of hard asses about these sorts of things. I don't blame them. That's why we have German engineering. Although I hate German cars, they're fucking ugly, and they're ugly, and they just cost a fortune, and aren't worth it. American cars are way better, or at least they used to be. Yeah, some of the hard ass qualities of German people are a good thing, and some of the things are a little hurtful. Oh, I've gotten over it. But this German woman said I was a shower tenor, which is true. You hear the vocals in that early shit, it's so fucking bad. And the guy's right about my songwriting. Back then, it's fucking terrible. I had been writing songs for like 6 months, and maybe not even that long. And then I'm like, I'm gonna write an album. I mean, the good thing is that I actually did it, because that's lots of people, they want to do things like they want to write a book, they want to learn an instrument, they want to write an album, for example, and they just talk about it, but they never do it. So I did it, and it sucked, but the main thing is that I've come a long way, and that anyways. Shower tenor. Well, frankly, listen up, German lady, okay? I'm a baritone. Okay, so joke's on you. I got a CBC article here. It says it's called Men Under Growing Pressure to Bulk Up with Steroids. CBC News, The National. CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Channel, brought to you by the Canadian government. Funded by the taxpayer. Oh, you know who my favorite person that's ever been on CBC is? Dr. Tam. Let's check in with Dr. Tam.
Well, kids, I'm just doing my yearly call to the North Pole for Santa's holiday health check.
Santa tell me that you need to take jab, otherwise you're a very bad person and you're going to get in big trouble if people like me ever get too much political influence.
Ho, 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 ho.
Why, hello, Dr. Tam.
Oh, Santa, did you get a sex reassignment surgery? Wow, that is so cool. You must have came to Canada for that, because that is subsidized by taxpayer. We are so progressive that way. Do you want to chop your penis off? Well, guess what? Don't worry, you don't have to pay for everybody else will.
Mrs. Claus, so good to see you again. Where did Santa go?
Oh, Santa was late for snow yoga with the elves and reindeer. He says it's great cross-training for sleigh driving.
Oh, golly. To average Canadian comedy, unfortunately.
Sounds fun. Are you all set for the holiday season?
Then go take your COVID-19 shot? Oh, no? That's not good. You might get a really bad cough, and then you might get put on ventilator, and then the hospital kill you. Anyways, let's go to this.
Here's a couple of tips to be more masculine.
If you start doing military workouts now, you won't believe the results.
The pressure to
Yeah, you won't believe the results. If you're doing leaping lunges and 20 push-ups a day and 5 chin-ups, then you might become the next Unisol. You Seth bought online, sucker.
big, fit, strong.
By the way, this is my 4th time recording this thing. I remember I tried recording it when I was sick. I didn't have display capture on. I recorded it yesterday, and my fucking mic was muted. Is it muted today? Okay, good.
Everywhere.
All these guys that look
What the
like
hell was that guy? That guy was doing he was doing push-ups to failure.
jacked and amazing, and like they get all the attention.
Men hyping up steroids.
Trend. It's the most popular steroid that everyone seems to be talking about.
Social media is a huge factor.
Trend. When your mind goes to mush and your balls. I wanted to end that with when, but it didn't work out.
In all body image and body dissatisfaction.
But there is a dark side
Pretend it did.
to this growing influence of steroid use.
Can be every bit as destructive as the street drugs like cocaine.
Potential side effects you could run into.
We saw the physical effects. We didn't see the psychological effects as much.
He made a really, really bad choice.
When I was 21, I just wanted to be as big as possible.
We are not revealing Andy's real name because he's worried speaking about his steroid use will affect his career.
Yeah, maybe he works with a bunch of, well, it's Toronto, so, I mean, there's a high probability he's going to work with some leftists. And we all know leftists, the worst thing is toxic masculinity.
I want to say about
There's nothing more toxic than steroids.
5% of the people I know are on it.
Because they're a catalyst that propels you into the ultra toxicity zone.
Still, they are an open secret at his gym.
Do guys on the floor, ask each other about steroids?
That tiny ring, she should have got a bigger ring because that makes her nose look fucking huge.
Yeah, I think most of the guys that are on it know that when someone else is on it. Like, obviously, if you see someone gain 20 pounds of muscle in a month, you're like, hey, that guy's probably on stuff.
I bet you this guy's an Indian.
He alters doses.
His name's not definitely Andy.
And steroids based on a plan he's built from online research.
Physically, obviously, I mean, I'm a lot stronger. I look a lot better. Emotionally, it's definitely...
I deadlift 405 now for 7 reps. Pretty good.
It blunted me a little bit. Like, it's hard to feel emotions when you're on, like, a ton of hormones.
Yeah,
but
she ought to know. She's probably been on the birth control pill for years.
It's just after that first cycle.
No offense. This is all satire, by the way. This is all satire, and especially that Tam lady. I actually have great respect for Dr. Timmy Tam. Dr. Timmy Tam. Probably the best doctor in Canada. She's the Fauci of Canada, frankly. And I kind of feel bad for what I did. So, and I didn't mean any of that. That was just mean.
I just saw such a drastic change in my quality of life that it seemed almost stupid to come off permanently.
Well, also because you're never going to be the same because your balls. Well, I suppose if you take enough HCG, then you could probably get your balls back into super zone. But you live in Toronto, and there's just anti-testosterone poisons everywhere.
Anabolic steroids like testosterone, trenbolone, and
it's like the pastor says. I think his name is David Manning, or David James Manning. I can't remember what order it is. He's a black guy out of New York. He's a preacher, and he's like, apparently he said that Starbucks puts semen in their coffee. Okay, so next time you're at Starbucks, make sure you don't get any cream in there, or you bring your own creamers. Okay.
Adrelone are considered a controlled drug in Canada, illegal without a prescription.
I just thought of there's like the Beyond Meat burgers, and then there's like replacement dairy things that's just some sort of like flavored powder, kind of like Coffee Mate. I wonder if there's gonna be like replacement sperm, and it's gonna have soy in it. It's kind of like when you put the urea into for the DEF fluid for your diesel exhaust fluid to clean up the emissions for your diesel truck. You're gonna there's gonna be it's kind of like an insulin pump, but it'll be a fucking soylent sperm pump that pumps it pumps soy through your testicles, and then if you want to ejaculate, if you can still get an erection, then it'll just blast soy into the woman.
Are you worried at all
about don't steal I might write a science fiction novel, but with that as the main plot.
Legality of using anabolic
Don't
steroids?
steal that. I know you want to.
Not really. I wouldn't say it's legal, but it's almost just kind of accepted at this point.
So he gets his steroids online, and for pretty cheap.
Depending on the dosage you're doing, steroids can be cheaper than protein powder.
True.
So I'm just going to Google accessing steroids in Canada online. Injectable testosterone, injectable steroids. There are a lot of websites like this.
Why doesn't she show the URL?
You can buy steroids seemingly without a prescription. I have a bottle of Anavar. It's easy, and there are so many options.
Good hair.
So yeah, it's all ready to buy.
She needs to pull that. You guys got to get rid of that fucking nose ring and then get a different job. That's not working. Being a propagandist for the state.
Making this all shockingly accessible.
Social media is not only a driver of poor body image, but it's also a space where information is gathered.
Dude, I don't know if I should say this. You know how there's like if you're having sex, you could like grab a woman's hair or if they had like pigtails and whatever. I'm pretty sure this guy's boyfriend sticks his fingers in his fucking gigantic spacer holes.
Other to actually access and use these things.
In Minecraft.
Kyle Ganson studies muscle dysmorphia in men.
Which is really just kind of this idea of your perceived insufficient muscularity, basically. Like you perceive yourself to be smaller or less muscular than you actually are.
Male body image has evolved. And for some, it's no longer...
That guy has dedicated his life to the study of muscular men. Okay? And,
about the bulging biceps of Arnold or Sylvester. They want to be toned and cut, like Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Okay, first of all, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone are more cut than Captain fucking Skinny Legs here.
Or Aaron Pierre.
And then this guy. Who the hell is this fucking guy? That every single black person that's not obese looks like that. That's just the normal African look.
And that's because of the muscular body ideal. Perpetuated.
You see those fucking flip-flops?
And that's because of the muscular body ideal.
Do you see that? I hope this isn't fucking Andy, because this is just disgraceful.
Perpetuated in society, you need to look this way. And they go to...
Yeah, and it looks well, frankly, you know, are you still recording? Okay, this is off the air. Okay, I freaking love it.
To become, you know, bigger, and that might be anabolic steroid use.
One of Ganson's recent studies found that up to 25% of users had symptoms of dependence.
100%.
They can really affect almost every system of the body: cardiovascular, neurological, endocrine, etc., etc., etc.
Andy says he hasn't experienced any serious side effects, but he does admit it is hard to stop taking steroids.
I don't come off completely anymore. Like when I used to get off them completely, it's about 4 to 6 weeks of just hell, because you go from 10 to 12 times your regular amount of testosterone to nothing in your body. You know, your mood swings aren't great. You're kind of always irritated.
A small percentage will get in.
Some guy just commented, "No, I don't want to extend my match." This is approaching Jason Genova chef crackhead level cooking. Listen, buddy.
Terrible.
That thing actually was good. Okay, sure, it didn't have a nice like caramel crust on top, but that thing was fucking good. Although it scratched the shit out of the top of my mouth.
Trouble, but many won't, and yet
that was my cinnamon baguette.
Of course, the drug they're taking can be every bit as destructive as the street drugs like cocaine.
In the UK, psychiatrist Dr. William Shanahan says more men are turning to steroids.
That looks like a tablecloth. I like that dress, though.
And those who do need to be more aware of what they're taking.
Sometimes the abrupt cessation of drug use can lead to major symptoms of depression and sometimes even the onset of suicidal thinking.
That's where this guy comes in. Patrick Starr.
One of our regrets was that we didn't understand.
He's a lot bigger in this picture than the first one.
Better what he was taking.
This is a great book of memories.
That's him in the Bahamas.
Robin Laurel's son, Nick Solomon, struggled with self-esteem and body image.
So Nicholas was probably 5'7", and he felt that was a terrible disadvantage with women or with girls.
He wanted to.
Yeah, so he's going to do the Greg Valentino technique. He's like, I can't get taller, so I'll just get wider.
To be bigger. And
steroids are as American as apple pie.
Steroids were a way to be physically bigger.
He was trying to get off those steroids, but his family says no one warned him enough about withdrawal.
You know, I think when he started wanting to stop, it was because he wanted to have kids and he knew they could be impacting his fertility.
Okay.
What do you think?
Right.
Oh, I just remember barbecues out here.
Stand it.
There's just no question in my mind when he stopped buying them, you know, he was having
because he had a big ass stock. What are you going to do? You got to make sure you got at least 5 extra bottles.
More struggles and more lows. We just think that he'd become more emotional and vulnerable. One of the things in the message that he left us was that he couldn't take the lows anymore.
Nick died by suicide last year at 33. The link
Holy
between
shit.
Nick's death and
The thing about this is they say that the steroids cause depression. No, he was already depressed and he was using the steroids as a crutch to sort of improve his self-esteem. And lots of people do that, frankly. And the thing is that, you know, he was using it as a crutch. So his like baseline level of happiness was here. He uses steroids. He has the crutch. Okay, he's feeling up here. Okay, so instead of, from being like he goes from like a 3 to like a 6 or a 7 because he's more muscular. Okay, he's stronger. He's getting more attention from women. And then all of a sudden his testosterone goes super low. And so not only is he has lower testosterone than he did when he was depressed, he also is rapidly losing all that muscle that he gained, or the glycogen. Okay? So yeah, someone kicked his fucking crutch out. You can't fill a hole in your heart with drugs and steroids. That includes steroids. And people, you guys already know all this. They have promiscuity, drugs, dopamine. Dopamine. It's like basically dopamine hits. You can't replace the hole in your heart with dopamine.